my gosh, the crickets, these darn crickets, where do they keep coming from? They're so loud.
Well, at least yours were loud. Mine were like, no noise.
You know how they say sometimes silence could be deafening. So
Yeah.
that's what the social media crickets sound like to me. The silence is so loud it's deafening.
Oh my goodness. And I think for most of us, I don't know about anyone, but patience is not my virtue. I think social media has taught me patience. I think business in and of itself has taught me patience. And I think part of social media is being consistent and living through the delay of response until you consistently start to show up. Well, no one told me that, right? We are so conditioned that everything is instant,
Right.
and how people portray things is that it is instant. And when you have your real experience, real life, true experience, it's not instant at all. And so I think a big part of it is understanding that it takes a moment, it takes time, it takes consistently showing up for someone to pay attention to you. Yeah. So there you go.
And I like that you say that, because it's oftentimes one of the conversations, like I said, I have a lot with my clients, that social media should be a part of your marketing strategy. So it's not something that you do, once or twice, or you do for like a couple of months, and then you decide that it's not working, and then you throw your hands up and you walk away. This is not for me. Like you said it before, and we all know it's here to stay. So it's, how do we leverage the platform? How do we be consistent and continue to put those strategies out there? And one of the things for me that I had to learn in this space wasn't until I started to be honest and have honest conversations, real conversations about the things that we as entrepreneurs struggle with in business, and especially on social media. I started to attract, my tribe of people, and so we're going to sit down today and we are going to unpack, and we're going to just have a beautiful discussion around it.
Dive into the truth of the matter, if you will. Absolutely. So let's see who is out there. So as you jump on, thank you, one, for joining us. And as you come on to whatever platform you're on, please let us know who you are, where you're joining us from. So what part of this beautiful planet you're joining us from, what you do while you're living, and who are your people? Who are you called to serve? Because we're talking about why should they follow you. So why should those people that you are called to serve actually know that you are the person they need to follow? So first of all, let us know what you do while you're living, because that's the key. Also, when you jump on, comment, share what you're taking away, ask your questions. We do our best to go back and answer questions that we missed during the time of the show. And so we'll definitely get those questions answered. If you're listening to the replay, #replay, remember, put #replay and do the exact same thing as if you're listening live. Get engaged. Tell us what you're taking away. Share your comments. Let us know who you are, where you're joining us from, what you do while you're living. This is actually our virtual networking opportunity. And I know for myself, I have met a number of people just going through the comment sections, checking them out, and starting up a conversation. And we are going to invite you to do the same.
Awesome. And then also go ahead and invite another super achiever. So if you saw the advertisement for this show and the title piqued your interest, or you're just jumping on and you're just checking us out, and of another business bestie, another person that you said, what, they have these same questions, and these are the things that we talk about all the time. Take a minute, go ahead and invite them, to join us on the show, because like I said, we are going to unpack some wonderful things, have a great discussion around it. But also, before we get into today's topic, I do have a couple of housekeeping items. So I am going to take a minute, to once again invite you, if you have not had the opportunity to join us on our Magnetize and Monetize the Virtual Stage Live training, make sure you take the moment to do so. I'm going to make sure that I have the link going across the screen to the bottom there. And so this training, we do this training every Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is for those of you out there who wants to know what it takes to be captivating and camera ready, how to, magnetize your message, attract your divine clients to you. So once again, if you're sitting there with these types of questions, you can join us on a live training, and we share with you some great tips, things that you could start to implement right away in your business that will put you on the right track to do so. And then also bring your questions. We'll be happy to answer your questions for you. And so, like I said, we do our Magnetize and Monetize the Virtual Stage training on Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next, we'll also like to take a minute to invite you to our Readers Are Leaders or Leaders Are Readers book club. I always say it backwards all the time. Leaders Are Readers book club. And that happens every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in our Super Achievers Network. And this month, we are reading the book, The Noticer, by Andy Andrews. And Suzanne, I'll let you share a little bit about the book.
Oh, the book is fantastic. It is in parable form, one of my best ways to learn. And it is a story about a man who notices and looks and helps people shift their perspective on how they're looking at situations where they are seeing doom, gloom, and hopelessness. And lets them know that there's a gift in every situation. There's possibility in every situation. There's an opportunity in every situation if you and I seek to find it. And how he teaches is so fantastic. It's amazing. Yeah. And the author, Andy Andrews, is a trainer. And he goes into corporations and trains and uses this format of teaching to really have us look at things in a different light. So we are loving it. We're learning a lot from it. It's a shift from what we usually read because we wanted a cerebral break and an opportunity to just really enjoy and take in some learning in a different format. So that is The Noticer. And we are jumping into chapters 4 to 6.
Yes.
Is it 4 to 6?
I think we read chapter 1 and 2. We had a break last week. And so we're reading from 3 to 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yes.
Yeah, 3 to 6 coming in up this Monday. So definitely you want to join us. So let's get this conversation started. So for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Influencers Journey Show. My name is Suzanne Hart. You know my girl, Taria Hodge. We are sitting down, and the topic that we are discussing today is why should they follow you? Isn't that a great question? As you're out on social media, as you're out on the different platforms, why should people follow you, and who should follow you? So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So to get this started, one of the things that we kind of talked about, and I took a course, and one of the things that the trainer talked about was this thing called your me only. And I was like, my me only? What on earth is that? And he said, it's that thing that separates you from everyone who does what you do. And I was like, what on earth is that? And it's such a great question because at the time I was just wrapping up my network marketing career. Not that it's fully wrapped up, but I was, kind of winding that down. And I was jumping into training and speaking and this whole mindset, speaker trainer, all that stuff area. And so when he talked about how do you find your me only, what is your me only, it was a great question for me. And so when I think of network marketing, and I think of all the people who do network marketing, all the people that were in health and wellness, what was it that separated me from everyone else? So How do you find that, Taria, is the question.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to dive into that. So how do you find your me only? Now that we know what it is.
Yeah. So I think it's, the first part, is the thing that you stated. What is it that makes you different from everyone in the marketplace? And the reason why this is such a great topic for social media is, we all know that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people in the same space. Like, I would be so naive to believe that I'm the only person out there who does social media and have social media strategies. I feel a little tinge every time I see strategist next to somebody else's name with social media. Like, no, that's me, right? But the reality of the situation is, like I said, there are hundreds and thousands of people out there that do what you do. So the question becomes, what makes you different? What is that thing that has you stand out from everybody else who is in the same industry as you? What is that thing that makes people point you out and say, you know what, that's my person? So I think it's taking a look at, what is it that makes you different? And then what's really interesting, as I started to unpack this for myself, the things that made me different from others were the things that I was most afraid to let shine in the marketplace.
That's interesting. I think that's common for many of us. It is as much as we want to stand out, we also want to fit in.
Yes.
And so I have found that standing out is sometimes a very uncomfortable thing. And it is, what is the thing that makes you, unique? What is the thing that makes you different? And I know for me, when I look back over my career, over everything I've done over the years, one of the pieces that I have learned about myself is that I don't like to memorize anything. And it didn't work for me in school. It didn't work for me it just doesn't work for me. I don't like the whole act of memorizing. I get bored easy.
Yeah.
And my brain just doesn't work that way. So I'm not the best student. And so I went through a long period in my life where I just thought I wasn't that smart. Right? I just wasn't that smart. I just wasn't that gifted. And I really didn't like school all that much, although I did okay in it. It just wasn't my jam. So if someone says, you want to go do your, this level degree and that degree, I've got 2, I'm done. No, thank you. Not in the formal structure. And so what I learned about myself after I kind of got out of school was that I have great ability to figure things out. I have a great ability to listen to what's not being said, to see what's often not seen, and to break things down in such a way that it is understandable. I love to figure out how the brain works, how we navigate things, how we figure things out. I love to break it down so I can understand it. And if I can understand it, I can own it and I can teach it. So I tell people, if I understand what you do, I will own it. It'll be mine. Like, that's just how my brain is wired. And so as people talk, if you say something, chances are Suzanne's writing a program. I can break it down and go, oh, that'd be a great program. That would be a great teaching. And so that is my superpower. And so as I stepped out, it was my superpower in network marketing, because people would just tell you, oh, go prospect. And people would be like, okay, what do you do? And everybody would go, oh, well, we'll give you a script. And I was like, no, I need to understand.
Yeah.
And so once I broke it down and understood it and owned it myself, I could train it.
Yeah.
If you told me I needed to go do this. Like when I started speaking, I wanted to understand the nuances and the breakdown and what do you do and why does this work and why does this work? Why does storytelling work? Why does that work? And I needed to understand it, and I need to understand the psychology of it. So my people come to me to own something, not just to understand it, but they come for me for a transformational experience where they take ownership of something and they embody it. And so that over the years has been, no matter what I've done, has made me unique. However, until I saw my ability, I saw it as a disability.
Yeah, it's so interesting as I hear you, sit and unpack that. It once again reminds me of my journey and the thing that I'm most grateful for in this space and my biggest learn. And what that is I remember when I first stepped out in doing videos, I was that person who understood the technology. So I knew how the platforms work. The technology did not scare me or anything like that. But when it came to doing videos, I literally had to call my best friend, my business best friend. I know she's probably out here watching, Dikisha. And every Saturday morning is like she would pep talk me before I go live. And it was that just knowing that I just had one person that was watching out there, that was a friendly person, gave me the courage, to go and do live. And I'll never forget. I remember the day when she said to me, "Girl, I didn't watch that show." I was so crushed. But what it said to me was, I'm not the only person who struggled, So a lot of times people think that it's just the technical parts of it, but it's not that. It's the emotional part of it, like what goes through your mind, when it comes to showing up on camera, being consistent. And when I understand and I got that, that became the thing, the me only that I started to provide, to my clients, giving them the confidence and the courage to get up and show up on camera.
So you're saying, just so that we're all clear and we hear it, is that because you struggled,
yes,
and because you were afraid, you are really good with people who struggle and are afraid, and you have you understand it, and you have you have an awareness of what might need to happen for them.
Yes, in order to do so. And then as we're talking about finding your me only, as I took a look at programs, enrolled in programs myself, a lot of people weren't teaching from that perspective. Yeah. They talked about the content, they talked about like the technical things, what do you need to have, this, but what is the emotional part that happens, to people? What's the underlying support that people really need to allow them to move forward?
It's so true. And I know as I have grown into what I do, it is, it's one thing to get something here. Mm-hmm. And that's often when people, we're told to do something here. And so when most people take courses, they have an intellectual experience. Yes. And I have a client right now, and one of the beautiful things she always says to me, she said to me when we first started, is I don't understand this emotional, touchy-feely stuff you keep asking me. And I would say to her, trust the process and you will. And the other day she was like, OMG.
She got it.
And what she said to me is, this is where I always get stuck. And this is where my clients always get stuck. Mm-hmm. And what I said to her, what I'm gifted at, because I like to figure out how the brain works and what motivates us and what demotivates us, is that you can understand something intellectually, mm-hmm. but emotionally, your body's still saying, no, I'm afraid of that. I don't want to do that. Da, 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 da. And so if we can address that piece, we move.
Yeah.
And so it's really getting into that place. That's how I'm wired, though. And so I'm hard to move if I don't experience it. I'm a learn by doing, a learn by experience. I'm not a book learner. And so I'm really good at creating experiences where people have that shift, that transformation, that eureka moment where I say, I'm really good at having you bang into yourself.
Like you getting me stuck in the tree. Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that today.
And you see yourself, and you see how you show up in the world, and you're confronted.
Right.
You're like, I'm not hiring her. You're confronted. And oftentimes we are required to be confronted in order to move. Yeah. Now, the next question we have is, how do you turn your me only into your blue ocean? And this is where it's really cool. So if we're talking about social media would be considered a red ocean. And a red ocean is where the analogy is like the sharks are out, there's lots in the water, and it's bloody. Not a great analogy, but that's kind of where it comes from. And it's crowded. And imagine being able to part the red ocean and create this blue space where it's only you and it's peaceful. Right? And it's like the oasis in the middle of the sea, if you will. And so the question is, how do you do that? Well, when you combine your me only, what you're doing on social media, what you're doing in your marketing is saying, I know there's a lot of coaches in this ocean, and I know that we have a lot of the similar clients. So this is where the clients hang out. Yeah. Right. So I've done my demographics, psychographics, graphics, and I know the numbers, and I know the people, and I know how old they are, and I know da-da-da. However, what's unique about me, if I can language that in my posting, if I can express the stories about myself that tell people what's different about me, then what ends up happening is those people relate to me. Yeah. And so why social media is so interesting, it's this place where we get to actually, if we have the courage, not fit in, but stand out by saying, this is how I'm different. This is how I walk through the world. This is what I like to think about. This is what I like to do. This is what's unique and special about me. This is what's quirky about me. This is what I struggled with. And it's those things, interestingly, that have you kind of part the sea. Yeah. And not part the sea for everybody, but part the sea for the person who is going, I'm looking for that person who's quirky.
It's a thing that we say like all the time, right? Your divine clients, and getting to the point where you truly believe that there are people out there who are divinely assigned to you.
Yes.
That's it. People, like I said all the time, like people who you are called to serve. And it's not everyone. And that's why I love social media, because social media really gives you the opportunity to have your stories play out. And as you play out these stories in a myriad of ways, it gets, you get the opportunity to, like I said, shine. And then your light is out there, and the people who are drawn to you, who connect with your message, then they're saying, oh my gosh, like that's my person. And so it's like that thing, like I never thought in the beginning when I started talking about the half and half journey, that half and half would become so important. And in the beginning, I thought it was really about being able to spend time on the beach. But no, it's not that. It represents the people who want to have the courage to design a life that they desire. And the more you put that out there, you talk about it, you attract your people. And then people, oh, well, how do you do this? I know I need to get my message out there. How do you do that? Then this is some of the things that I went through, what I deal with, and then you share. And then it's just like, oh my gosh, your tribe. And I love that we're talking about building your tribe and building your meet only. And I have to say this because one of the hardest and toughest experiences for me has been the revolving door in my
Mhm.
business, you know, where you'll have those people, they'll connect with you for a short time, or you'll have clients and then you work with them and then they drop off. And then it's always like you're, you know, out there trying to get clients, get clients, get clients. And it's like, oh no, there's something that can be done different here. So, how do I really show up in my superpower to find the right people and then journey with those people longer? And I think that that's the power of the me only. And going back to like what you said, like, how do you create your own blue ocean and then you stay
Mhm.
out of the competitive waters?
Yeah, and I think it brings us to our last point that we're talking about is why less is more. And
Mm,
this is really about who our divine client is. And I remember when I started, like most people, they'd say, "So who do you serve?" And I'd say, "Oh well, what I do is good for everybody."
mhm,
And I remember someone going, "Oh, so you're talking to nobody?" And I
mhm.
was like, "Well, what do you mean? I'm talking, no, I'm talking to everybody." And they repeated again, "So you're talking to nobody?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm confused." And really what they were saying to me is that if you don't get specific and clear about who you are speaking to, who
Mhm,
you are called to serve, who your divine client is, then you're not talking to anybody.
mhm.
Wow. So at first I was a little dumbfounded. So who is that person? And
Right.
I will admit, I did the psychographics, I did the demographics, so I had this
Mhm.
thing. But still, that was really big. And it was still really, really crowded. And it wasn't until I started. Now, this is the world according to Suzanne. So all you gurus out there, don't be coming talking to me about what you're talking about. I'm just saying. It wasn't until I got up and close and personal with Suzanne
Mhm.
that I started to attract the people that were looking for me. And I remember writing some copy, and I said, you know, I wrote about myself, and it was hardworking, result driven, overachiever,
Mhm.
super achiever. First to leave, first to arrive, last to leave. I can get it done. I'm overworked. I feel underpaid. I feel not respected. I feel not heard and not recognized for the value I bring to the table.
Yeah.
I know I deserve more.
Yeah.
And my gifting is that I have this superpower where I can see and hear and understand the details of things. When I started speaking to those things, and not that I was a trainer, not that I was a this,
Mhm.
not that I was that. I remember one post where I said I had the saddest moment when I realized that my ladder was against the wrong wall and the wall mine was against was going nowhere.
Yeah, I like that.
And and then people were like, "That's me too. My
Yeah.
ladder's against the wrong wall." Right? When I remember when I wrote for the first time that when I stood up to speak in school and I got
Mm.
embarrassed and humiliated because of my very Trini accent at the time and how crushed I was, and I never put my hand up again. I can't remember. I can't tell you how many people were like, "That's me too.
Yeah.
That's me too. That's me too." And so what I found out was my me only is not just my superpower,
Right.
it's my unique walk,
Yeah.
right? And isn't it true that we connect when we walk into a room, we look for what's in common,
Right.
right? We look for, and when we meet someone, it's like, "Oh, you too? Oh, I feel closer to you. Oh, you had that experience too. Oh, I can relate to you." And so we think it's our gift, that
Mm-hmm.
our skills, are those things that we have that we've poured hours of money into that attract our people. I have learned that it's my struggle, it's my pain, it's my oddness, it's what I think, it's my stories that tell the world, oh, she's not perfect, she's in struggle too.
Right.
And when we're talking about your me only, it's not, the best way to describe it is, have you ever thought of, it's only me that's gone through this?
Yeah.
It's just me.
Yeah.
It's only me. This is me only. I want you to start thinking about how many people are sitting there in those places and spaces where they're going, it's me only. It's only me. I'm the only one who struggled like that.
Yeah.
And so what social media allows us to do is to say,
yep,
that's me.
I like I always say, I could say I get you, and I got you, because I get you, I got you. I could say I love it. One of the things that stood out for me, though, when we're talking about less is more, another mistake that entrepreneurs make, in addition to thinking that they serve everyone, is trying to be all things, to their clients. And that's a lesson that I had to learn, like the hard way. It was a tough lesson, for me. And so when we talk about less is more, and going back to your me only, the question is, what is the thing that you really want to be known for out there in the marketplace, and identifying what that thing is, and then taking the time to get really, really, really good at it. And so if you're out there and you find yourself like doing 1,000 things, there's no way that you could achieve excellence in 1,000 things all at the same time. And so, go ahead.
And I want to even narrow it more, Taria, because it's, it's not, most people think, well, I'm going to be really good at coaching. Let's narrow it even more.
Right.
So I tell people, if you want to have a transformation and you want to get into the what's got you stuck, and the way I describe it is, if you know that you've got the skills, you've got the talent, you've got the experience, yet something is still standing in your way, it's probably you. If you want to dive into why you're standing in your way, I'm the person.
Yeah.
That's what I focus on. If you want to find out why this is blocking you, and we teach speaking.
Yeah.
But what is speaking? For most people, it's the biggest fear, and people have to uncover, what is it about taking the stage, turning on a camera, that I just keep hitting this wall of I can't do it. Yeah. And so what we do is we break down why you can't do it and why you can. Yeah. And that's our unique thing.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Told you it was going to be a good conversation. I called it from the beginning. So if you are a super achiever out there and you're, in this conversation with us, take a moment, drop a comment. Let us know how this is resonating with you. Are you receiving any ahas? Is there a big takeaway for you? Do you have a question? Just go ahead, drop it in the comments and let us know. Well, Suzanne, just to shift gears a little bit for you, I have a question. So what was the process like for you discovering your me only?
The first time I got a glimpse at my me only, I was in college. And if you're Canadian, I was in university. And the teacher had assigned had given us all a psychology theory to break down. And we had to memorize it and present it to class and break it down. Now, I remember I said, memorization is not my thing. And I kept trying to memorize this thing and it was not working. And then I tried to break it down and I was like, I'm so lost in this. It took me quite some time to research it, break it down, and break it down into these bite-sized, tiny pieces so I could put it back together. By the time I put it back together, I knew this theory inside out, upside down, and sideways. When I went to class and I taught it, I did not teach it in any way that anyone else taught. I gave them an experience of it. And when I was done, the teacher said, "Oh my gosh, I'm the teacher. And now I even understand this theory better than when I assigned it to you." And he said, "You have this ability to deconstruct and make things understandable. Like, and not just things, but abstract things.
Yeah.
Understandable." And I thought, oh, because until that point, Taria, I was in my mind the struggling, not so smart student. Yeah. And it was when I started working and really using that gift, that superpower, that I actually began to shine. Because you give me an odd situation, you give me something that's hard to vocalize, and I will be able to deconstruct it, break it down, and put it back to you. And people will be like, "Oh, that's it right there. That's it." And I have built a career on that skill. That is my superpower. Yeah. It is my thing. And it is the thing that people call me for. It's the thing.
Yeah. I love it. And it's so true, and it's such a beautiful thing. Like when you get to the point where you actually know what your me only is, and then you're able to just step into it powerfully and just serve others with it. So beautiful.
And when I'm in it, Taria, I tell my clients, don't mind me, I could train forever.
Like me.
I'm in my happy place. I can train forever. So I have to track time because I can train forever because I just love it. I'm curious about it. I love the deconstruction. I love the figuring it out. It's not just a cerebral game for me. It's an experience for me. So that's it for me. So let me ask you this. What if you were to name your me only, like put a name to it? Because I think that's really key for everyone that's listening. Because it is really being able, if someone said, "What's your superpower?" Mm-hmm. Really be able to state it in a way that people go, "I get it." So what's your me? What is your me only?
Yeah, I would have to say my me only is patience and compassion.
Oh,
yeah, and I think that sums it up overall. And it's so interesting because I remember when I was working at my 9 to 5. Well, when I was just starting to work at my 9 to 5, and I had an experience where the trainer pulled me aside and he said, I really don't want, for you to be too disappointed if you don't get the job, and I got the job, but it still left me with a feeling that someone didn't believe